I'm so sorry, I have not put out a part of this review in a few days. But the truth is, I did not want to do this because Section 31 is really
Hey guys, Michael J. Crawford here, and yeah, we're back. So last time we were introduced to the team twice. After Alok introduces the team, we are then told what their grand plan was. Step 1, knock Georgiou unconscious. Admittedly, this is probably the most entertaining moment of the entire movie. Step 2, have the Kamaloid assume Georgiou's shape. Step 3, have Kamaloid Georgiou welcome the broker into the station.
Welcome, Dadano.
Step 4, have Fez use his microscopic ship to infiltrate the bio-implants of the data broker. Step 5, have Mr. Robo-Dysmorphia knock the data broker out with a single punch and take the bioweapon. Now look, I get that they're trying to go for some kind of Ocean's 11, Mission Impossible kind of vibe here, but at the same time, this has got to be the dumbest plan in the history of plans. I mean, first of all, why bother knocking out Georgiou? She is an experienced Section 31 agent, and the minute she hears about this problem, she's willing to help out anyway, so what makes you think she wasn't going to help out? Now, if you recruit Georgiou, you wouldn't need the Kamaloid to take her shape. And of course, having the Kamaloid take her shape brings up the problem of what if the data node guy has tech that can detect a Kamaloid? As for Fez taking over his bio-implants, okay, that could be interesting, except for the fact that you're going to just immediately knock the guy out anyway. Zeph, honestly, is the only part of the plan that makes any sense. Just knock the guy out and take the weapon. Although, I haven't even mentioned the worst part of this whole thing.
Starfleet does not do assassination.
Now, technically, Lieutenant Garrett is correct. Well, kind of. You see, it is true that Starfleet does not condone assassinations. However, assassinations is like stock and trade for Section 31. In fact, this whole movie is predicated on the idea that Section 31 is the group that does the dirty work that Starfleet's not willing to do, but you bring along a Starfleet person in order to prevent them from doing what Starfleet's unwilling to do? Huh? I'm sorry, this is some serious bullshit. The only explanation I can possibly come up with is quantum. Now, you might have noticed at the beginning of all this, I said this is what their grand plan was. Why? Because, well, Georgiou says, hey, I got a better plan for you.
Let's talk about this plan of yours. I think it's good, except it sucks. So let me do the plan, and that way it might be really good. Wow.
I have a simpler idea.
So Georgiou's simpler idea, of course, is to just blow up Data Node's ship, destroying the super weapon and all trade, kill Data Node the minute he gets into his core, have Zeph show up and knock out Data Node the second he walks into his core, toss a magnetic disc across the room in order to attach it to the hopefully metallic substance of the super weapon so that it will vibrate at a different quantum level than... Wow, this really is just quantum. I must give credit where credit is due, however. Georgiou did not say she had a better plan, only a simpler plan.
I have a simpler idea.
And while her plan is stupid, it is simpler. Okay, so there is one thing I really don't understand. Why is it that when Data Node drops the super weapon, it doesn't just fall through the floor? After all, it's vibrating at a different quantum frequency, and we later see Georgiou running through walls with it and everything. So how is it that the floor stops it? And in fact, why is it that Georgiou doesn't fall through the floor? Or anybody else, when we see the other person also vibrating at a different quantum frequency, why is it that they don't fall through the floor? In fact, we see Georgiou fall down at one point and hit the floor. I mean, we even hear a big thud sound when she hits the floor. Well, more of a clank. How is any of this possible? What the actual fuck? So after Georgiou makes him drop the doomsday weapon, Zeph knocks him out like the original plan. Except that it's not Zeph, it's Alok that knocks him across the rooms because apparently he's super strong, which means that Zeph is completely unnecessary. And then everybody hears someone on the other side of the wall? Huh? So I'm at something of a loss here as to what to do, because on the one hand, it's really stupid that they heard him on the other side of the wall. After all, this is not just some drywall that you would find in a common house today. This is, 23rd, 24th century technology walls, probably made out of some kind of metallic substance. And you can't hear the club on the other side of the wall, so why in the world would you hear some guy walking? On the other hand, space ninjas.
Give me the kids.
Now, you might be thinking at this point, geez, Salty, I know you're salty and all, but why put 3 red turds? The fight didn't start out that bad. And you're right, it really didn't. When the Space Ninja comes after Georgiou, it wasn't that bad. In fact, I'll give it a green turd just because it wasn't that bad. There, you happy now? No, the reason I'm giving it 3 red turds, though, is because of this. You see, he's out of phase with the rest of the quantum blah, right? Just like she is. That's why the two of them can fight each other, but no one else can touch them. We also saw earlier that when Data Node tried to shoot her, the bolts went right through her and she didn't have to worry about it because he's out of phase, the gun's out of phase with her. But he's shooting a gun that is now in phase with her, and yet it hits the bulkhead on the wall behind her. How does this make any freaking sense? I mean, honestly, this is such an insane level of bullshit. Look, I've said about 1 million times in the past that you can write anything you want. You can make up a universe where any rules apply. You want to make a quantum multiplexer that makes it so that you can be out of phase with the universe with everything except for the other gadget that has a quantum multiplexer on it. That's perfectly fine. However, you have to remain consistent to the rules in your own universe. If you want to establish that the quantum multiplexer, whatever gizmo, puts you out of phase with everything else in the universe, then you need an explanation as to why Georgiou and the box and anything else that's out of phase doesn't just fall through the floor. Further, you certainly would need some kind of explanation as to why a bolt from a whatever kind of gun this is, because it certainly isn't a phaser. And look, while I don't want to be nitpicky about this, except that, well, that's not true. I do want to be nitpicky about this, but this is, I think, just bad directing on the part of the producers of this film. Why is it that we can clearly see Mr. Space Ninja is aiming his weapon directly at Georgiou in this shot, and yet the explosion is like 10 feet above her head? I mean, did they think that maybe either put the explosion at a lower level so that it was in line with where he was aiming, or have him aim the gun a little bit higher? This makes no sense whatsoever. That's a whole other story. How can it hit the wall when the gun it's fired from is out of phase with the universe? Now, if you want to say that when the bolt leaves the gun, it becomes in phase with the universe, then why was Georgiou working so hard to dodge said bolt? She certainly didn't seem worried about it when Data Node was shooting at her, so why now? Quantum. So next we get the most aggravatingly long fist fight in the history of Star Trek.
Give me the kids.
I hit that destroyer. No!
So yes, 4 minutes and 6 seconds of absolute crap. Now, you may think that this is one of the longest fights in all of Star Trek, and you would be wrong. But this is the most pointless long fight in Star Trek. I figured I'd grab a couple of examples just randomly out of Star Trek history. And of course, being a big original series guy, I couldn't help but pick what is undoubtedly one of the most annoying characters in all of Trek, fighting Captain Kirk.
Finnegan! What's been happening to my people?
Did you enjoy it, Captain?
Yes, I enjoyed it. After all these years, I did enjoy it.
So yes, the Kirk versus Finnegan fight clocks in at over 6 minutes and 40 seconds, significantly longer than the Georgiou versus Space Ninja fight. Now, I know some people may complain that the Kirk versus Finnegan fight includes sections that are not just fighting, but the same can be said of the Georgiou versus Space Ninja fight. However, even the Kirk versus Finnegan brawl cannot even come close to what is the undisputed greatest fight of all time.
No. No, I won't kill you.
So yes, Kirk versus the Gorn Commander clocks in at almost 22 minutes from the beginning to the end of this fight. And yes, again, like the other two fights, there are breaks in the fight to advance the story a little bit. However, the big difference between these three fights is not just the length of time that each fight uses on screen. It's actually the purpose of the fight. Does the fight serve the story? Well, obviously, in the case of Arena, the entire point of the story is to build to this climactic clash between captains. And, of course, at the very end, Kirk to spare the Gorn, showing the advanced trait of mercy, as Kirk realizes that the Gorn actually may have been legitimately defending their own territory. And therefore, the Federation may have been wrong in building Cestus 3 in the first place. An interesting flip of the tables as far as what we were led to believe watching most of this episode, that the Gorn are simply monsters, and Kirk was trying to save the Federation from the evil invaders. In the Kirk versus Finnegan fight, well, the point of the fight in this case is for Kirk to come to the realization that the things that are happening on this planet are actually being caused by their own thoughts, and that they might just be there for their own entertainment, which of course they figure out not too long after this, that the entire planet is an amusement park of sorts. Now, what about the Georgiou versus Space Ninja fight? Well, I suppose you could say that the reason for the fight is to have the big reveal of the super weapon. The problem here is that there's really no new knowledge being revealed. Oh, sure, we find out through later exposition that the super weapon isn't actually a biological weapon as they thought. It's actually some kind of super explosive that will destroy the entire Alpha Quadrant? Funny enough, there is a deleted scene from this movie where they effectively explain exactly how this doomsday weapon works.
First was your firecracker, a harmless explosive. Then your hand grenade. They began to kill your own people a few at a time. Then the bomb. Then a larger bomb. Many people are killed at one time. Then your scientists stumbled upon the atom bomb. Split the atom. Then the hydrogen bomb, where you actually explode the air itself. Now you can brings the total destruction of the entire universe served by our sun. The only explosion left is the Solarbanite.
Now, the Solarbanite bomb, developed by Georgiou, was actually so powerful that it could destroy an entire quadrant. Now, I know he's exaggerating by suggesting that it could destroy the entire universe, but it's understandable to why someone could make that mistake. Listen carefully as he explains the workings of Georgiou's terrible weapon.
The Solarbanite is a way to explode the actual particles of sunlight. Even now, your scientists are working on a way to harness the sun's rays. The rays of sunlight are minute particles. Is it so far from your imagination they cannot do as I have suggested?
Why, a particle of sunlight can't even be seen or measured.
Can you see or measure an atom? Yet you can explode one. A ray of sunlight is made up of many atoms.
Okay, I understand what some of you are probably thinking. There's no way that this could work because sunlight is not made up of atoms. You know, they're advanced aliens. Come on, they know more about this stuff than we do.
So what if we do develop this Solarbanite bomb? We'd be even a stronger nation than now.
Stronger. You see? You see? Your stupid minds. Stupid. Stupid.
Now, I know, again, some of you are probably thinking, wait, they still haven't explained exactly how this bomb works, right? Well, don't worry, that's coming.
Take a can of your gasoline. Say, this can of gasoline is the sun. Now, you spread a thin line of it to a ball, representing the earth. Now, The gasoline represents the sunlight, the sun particles. Here we saturate the ball with the gasoline, the sunlight. Then we put a flame to the ball. The flame will speedily travel around the earth, back along the line of gasoline to the can, or the sun itself. It will explode this source and spread to every place that gasoline, our sunlight, touches. Explode the sunlight here, gentlemen. You explode the universe.
Okay. So I was just poking fun a little bit. You know, Sulibanite, obviously, Plan 9 from Outer Space. If you haven't seen it, it's a really fun movie. But let's get back to the actual story of Section 31.
So I built a weapon to end all threats. I called it the Godsend. It triggers a chain reaction, like a virus passing between planets. Everything in its path incinerates. An entire quadrant would be lost.
And a chain reaction will occur direct to the sun itself and to all the planets that sunlight touches, to every planet in the universe.
Holy crap, it really is the same thing? What the fuck?
Plot holes, Section 31 has plot holes. Plot holes, my head is going to explode. Quantum interplexer makes no sense. The timeline does not fit for future or past tense. The fight is long and is frankly kind of boring. I may have passed out, sorry if I was snoring. As this crap fest keeps dragging on, I will thank all my friends on Patreon. Jason Rogers, Sean Giclone, Twinkle Teaches, Leighton Kresman, Lee Crystal, Lara Finney, Thomas Potts, 47 Yorktown, Roll Hest, True Dice Gay, Firetail, T Stoney, Indie Tiger, Captain Fandom Nerd.
So what if we do develop this solanite bomb? We'd be even a stronger nation than now.
Stronger. You see? Your stupid minds. Stupid.
You're way above our heads.